So we're gonna be checking out a detailed look at a pair of sneakers which I've touched on a few times here on the channel. This is a collaboration from Jordan Brand as well as a Buzzing brand, which I'm guessing by the time these sneakers officially release will become a staple as far as premier Jordan Brand collaborators. And with the release right upon us, it looks like the seeding process has begun, as it looks like early pairs are being gifted out. So enough rambling, let's go ahead and take a detailed look at the upcoming Infinite Archives Air Jordan 17 set to drop coming up here in October. And of course, to address the big elephant in the room, as you guys see, no briefcase included with this upcoming release. A detail which Jordan Brand has always kept original when you talk about the 17s, even all the way up until last year's release of those Lightning 17s, the All-Star pair, as well as the UNC Blue pair as well. So I'm gonna be real, y'all. I'm not really married to the briefcase, right? It's always been a special detail, which has been cool, you know, making these shoes feel special and everything. But at the end of the day, like, let's keep it real. We're not wearing the briefcase, right? So I could do without it. I've always said Jordan Brand could do without the briefcase as long as they lowered the retail price point. But as you guys see here, coming in at a hefty $305, no briefcase, but the price still remains high. So I guess it looks like, as far as the briefcase, I guess they've replaced it with this set of gloves, golf gloves, which is kind of interesting, I guess you could say. We also see Quentin Richardson. He got his pair gifted early as well, which joints are definitely looking beautiful. You see the IA details on the back. The bottom of this sneaker, all of those different colors represent various classic Jordan 17s, which have released throughout the years, which all kind of come together to inspire this new colorway, which arrives in this like beautiful sail upper. So we got this dude over here talking about, when you talk about the 17s, I can't fake it and act like I've always been on the 17, but I've been a fan of Infinite Archives since I discovered the brand about 5 years ago or so. Saw these in person yesterday, and they're now at the top of my list for the rest of the year. Attention to detail is insane. Most definitely, these joints are looking beautiful. And when you talk about my hit list for the rest of 2025, you could definitely say that these would top the list. Now, anytime we talk about models of Jordan retros outside of 1 through 14, I always get people in the comments that are saying like, I don't even look at anything outside of 1 through 14, which I can understand, but let's say if you were even around in say like the early 2000s, I don't understand how you couldn't have at least some type of nostalgia for some of these models, and even put the nostalgia to the side. Jordan Brand has some really dope models in their archive. So I'm really excited to see what Jordan Brand has in store for us. When we take a look at what's set to drop as far as 2026 leaks, which we've already seen, if we're being all the way honest, like, wow, we have some cool retros returning. I'm not like super overly excited, but what I am most intrigued about is the fact that Jordan Brand is gonna be finally getting in their bag models 15 through up, as we have confirmation of 15s, 16s, as well as 18s on the way. So we're gonna take a look at a clip from Joe LaPuma from Complex as he gives us a little insight, tells us some stories about some cool Jordan models outside of retros 1 through 14.
Are there any good Jordans after the 14?
Of course there is. I know that there's a lot of back and forth, that there's no good Air Jordans after the 14. I'm gonna focus on my favorites. 16, black and red, I wore it to my high school graduation. I love the black and red 16. White and navy, another one, Darius Miles, shouts to Darius Miles. But Cherrywood 16s, haven't released since 2001. Ginger 16s, my sleeper favorite maybe of all time. I wore them like Tim's at UConn. Then let's get to the Jordan 17. All the Mike Bibby PEs, the Lightning that recently released people liked. I love the Jordan 17. During the pandemic, I went back and got the white and blue with the briefcase. The first $200 pair of Jordans, I believe. I had the white and reds. So that's the 16th and the 17th. And then there's another one that I like, 2008, the 23. In Chicago, a launch, a press trip, my best press trip of all time. And we're celebrating that. We're at MJ Steakhouse in Chicago. He crashes the steakhouse, walks in. I actually have a picture, a candid of him and Tinker. We'll put it in here. And then let's go back to 20. The 20, I know the 20 is, now I know I'm gonna get a little hate for that. But the 20, it had the strap. I was working at the finish line. I used to put the khakis over the strap. Not the best look. And I know, listen, we're at tons past the 23. I only mentioned the 16, 17s, and 23. But on court, there's been a lot of other good ones. What are some of your favorites? But to answer the questions, is there good Jordans after the 14th? Of course. I'm on the road, no shoes.
And to elaborate on what Joe said, let's not forget about the Jordan 14, which actually released after MJ's second retirement with the Bulls back in '99, which y'all remember, they hit us with the 14s during the playoffs. And after MJ's retirement, everybody was wondering like where Jordan Brand was going to take things. At the time, I remember feeling like the 15s were probably like one of the worst looking Jordans of all time, which I'm not even gonna lie, over time, I feel like these joints have aged like wine, and I have grown a newfound appreciation for the Air Jordan 15. So let's say if they were to retro some of these pairs, I think an obvious choice, of course, you got to go with the Stealth OG release right here, which the last time we actually saw these drop 2017. So some people might feel like it's too soon for these to come back. I would say still bring them back anyways. But if you're one of those people that feel like it's just a little bit too soon for Jordan Brand to bring these back, why not go with the Flint Gray, another great OG colorway. These joints are super clean. You gotta love these right here. I appreciate the woven fabric texture, you know, which you guys see here on the upper, which was also kind of like a sign of some of Jordan Brand's design elements, as well as Nike during that era. And if you wanna go like a little more of a deep dive, right, you could go with the Jordan 15 Laser, which at that time, Jordan Brand was experimenting with this laser design featured on some 4s, as well as some other Jordans like the 20 at the time. So that's a really cool look right there. I wouldn't be mad to see these return. You gotta appreciate that little hint of wheat right there in the tongue, or whatever you wanna call it. I don't even know if you could call them joints a tongue or what, but this design was funky at the time. I thought it was a little too out there, but now looking back on it, I kind of feel like this was maybe a design which was a little ahead of its time. Now, he also did mention, of course, the 16s, 17s have been dropping. I think he mentioned the 18 as well, but let's not forget about the 20, which he did touch on the 20. I feel like these go crazy right here. Of course, you got the OG Stealth pair, which was insane. The patent leather on the upper, that additional ankle collar was like, wow, right? They look so futuristic when these originally dropped. And you guys see the little laser detail. So, of course, he did mention the Stealth pair, but let's not forget the other original release, as you got the white varsity red, or as I always like to call these, the Chicago. These went crazy as well. The 20, definitely a dope design, which we did see return last year in super limited capacity with the Doernbecher collaboration. So I would definitely not be mad to see Jordan Brand, you know, finally start to retro some of these out the vault, which we haven't seen return, you know, in true OG form, you know, in a minute. Outside of the 20, while I know a lot of people was like, you know, have nostalgia for, say, like the 23. A lot of people would say that was like the last great Jordan mainline release that they had paid attention to. But for me, it was always the 21, which at the time they kind of looked like toaster ovens on feet. But again, this is a Jordan design, which I feel like, you know, have aged nice over time, or I guess you could say aged gracefully, right? So of course you got the OG Chicago colorway, which was cool, right? Y'all remember these when these dropped, but when I saw these red suede joints, like this took things to a whole nother level. I felt like this is where Jordan Brand was still getting in their bag as far as like premium materials. The full red upper went crazy on these ones. This was definitely a standout when you talk about the 21. I think this dropped like a little bit later in the color line cycle, but these were definitely always a great release. So just a few suggestions for Jordan Brand, as we've seen already what's leaked here in 2026. While it's cool and all that, but if you've been wearing these Jordans for years now, like models 1 through 14, while always will remain as classics, I'm most intrigued to see Jordan Brand venture outside, you know, 15 and up. So some cool suggestions from me. Drop some of your feedback down below. Let me know what are some of your favorite pairs that you remember, you know, that dropped back in the day that you would like to see Jordan Brand potentially retro either next year or in the next coming year. So JATV, until next time, stay safe, stay blessed. I appreciate you guys. I always forget to mention, but if you enjoy the content you've been watching, you know, and you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. We just hit 6K. We're on the way to 7,000 subscribers. I appreciate everybody. Stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. Love.